I've wanted to film something lately that is a bit different from my typical content, and that would be giving you my opinion on things that are controversial. So I asked you guys on Instagram if you had anything that you wanted me to talk about that was controversial, and I wonder if you can guess what the top request was. Toxic gossip train. So I think I know probably why you all clicked on this video, because you want to hear my opinion on the whole Colleen Ballinger thing. I think there have been many videos that have been made that are going to do a lot more justice to this topic than me. The fact is, I am not a commentary channel. I could be. It would be kind of fun. In a way, also not. And I may do a bit of that. Man, am I orange? The thing is that I look literally yellow. Hold please. That's better, I think. I can't tell. Probably been 2 days since the response from Colleen came out. There's one thing that YouTubers are gonna do, it's YouTube. And a reply to such serious allegations in ukulele form. You know what? When you think you've seen everything, you just haven't. The actions, wildly inappropriate. Over the course of the length of time that people have been on YouTube, specifically somebody like her who has been on the platform for like 15 years or something like that, like crazy behavior. Everything you do is a content idea. Everything you think is in terms of YouTube. In somebody's warped version, they think that their behavior is normal because in so many ways they have become their career of sorts. And when your career is putting red lipstick on and acting wildly inappropriate at best, I can see how in that warped perspective you could be like, well, I was just like being the weird aunt. Okay, but you're not the weird aunt.
I didn't realize it was my responsibility to decide what was appropriate for every kid to see. I've always relied on parents to decide if they're comfortable with their families watching my YouTube videos or coming to my live shows.
Please. There ain't no adults watching this thinking this is funny. There just isn't. You know that because you can look at the live show, see who's coming to the audience. You know that nobody's watching that's not a child. I think that some of the responsibility does lie on the parent. Obviously quite a lot of it, like to monitor what your children are watching online and all that kind of stuff. But you can't just say that and then be also an adult in group chats with kids. Like you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? Like you can't be like, well, people should monitor what their kids are doing. I mean, I'm the one in the group chats with these kids that the parents should be monitoring, but it's not my fault that these parents don't know what these kids are talking to me about. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, this whole situation is really effed. The response just came out from her. I literally jaw on the floor, could not believe that that was something that somebody actually uploaded to the internet. If there was ever a time or an accusation to not reply with a ukulele, this was that time. The overwhelming majority that wasn't asking about the whole Colleen Ballinger situation is talking about wanting me to make my MLM video. A few years ago, I said that I was going to make a video on MLMs because I think they are predatory in nature. I have so much to say about MLMs. There's no shortage of anti-MLM content out there. And it's because I see some really lovely, wonderful friends of mine, people in my social circle, myself in my past when I was young, being taken advantage of by MLMs. If you don't know what MLM is, it's multi-level marketing. It's companies like Advocare, Beachbody, Unique. You know all of them. Your friend that reaches out to you and is like, hey babe, I was just wondering if you wanted to try my product. That is an MLM, and we all know them. We all know people in them, and no judgment to the people in them. And I will say that I am not going to be one of these people. Well, there are some people that I will shit on because they're like very predatory. I feel like most of the people that get sucked into MLMs are done so out of the promise of a side hustle, making a lot of money for your family, being able to become financially free. There's so many different promises that are made within these companies to people that are unsuspecting. A lot of times it's like military wives, stay-at-home moms. And because I am a mother now, I could see how easily people could get taken advantage of and have gotten taken advantage of from people trying to sell people into the MLM. Now, a lot of times people do believe in the products and a lot of times they don't. It really just depends on the situation. Now, the reason I haven't made this specific MLM video is because like I said before, the amount of research that goes into something like this, where I want to be concise and there isn't a question or stone left unturned. By the time you reach the end of the video, you will have known the answer to the question that you have for me. I don't want you to get done watching the video and be like, yeah, but what about this? But what about this? I want that question to have been answered in the video. And maybe I'm putting way too much of an expectation on this video, but I don't want it to come off attacking. I want it to come off as like, hey, we need to have some concern about the people being taken advantage of by these companies. Now, the reason I say being taken advantage of, because the majority of people in MLMs will claim that you can become financially free, that it can be a side hustle, that it's work and this and that, you gotta put in the hours, you're a boss babe. That is not the reality for 99.9% of people in MLMs. They will do the buy-in package, they will lose money. That is guaranteed because there are financial statements that are put out by the companies that show that the majority of people, and I'm talking 99.9% of people, lose money in an MLM. So you will buy in, you'll buy the kit, you'll alienate all of your friends and family by trying to sell them this shitty product that nobody wants and trying to sell blah, blah, to the upline, blah, blah. And then by the end of it, you're gonna end up quitting because it's awful and you make no money and you put in so much time and effort. And really, at the end of the day, like that, they're considered like the pyramid scheme, and that's mostly because basically, your goal is to sign more people up to become coaches or XYZ. And that's not to say that people don't have good results with some of their products. It's irrelevant though, because they are predatory and because most people end up losing money in them. And you know that if you look at the financial documents that are released by these companies, like the income disclosure statements, you can see that like most people do not make money in them. Sorry, I could go off on a rant for this forever. And the reality is that I see people, my friends and family, my peers and people that I care for very much get sucked into MLMs, and it's not right, because I can tell you that without a shadow of a doubt, it's not what was promised to these people. And again, you might stand by some of the products. You might really like these products from, you know, doTERRA. You might really like Pampered Chef. You might like the products. But it's irrelevant to the end goal, which is you becoming financially free or having a side hustle. Likely, it's not the case. You're not making millions selling Mary Kay. And they might suck you in with being like, oh, you'll get a car if you just do X, Y, Z. But the reality is that it's so difficult to do that. And even if you do get the car, like, it's under your name, it's your lease, it's not the company's car. They're not gonna take a financial hit if you end up not being able to make the payment, or if the company like was gonna make the payment for you, but you didn't reach your upline goal or whatever, then you're not gonna be able to make the payment. There's so many different things and so many different avenues when it comes to multi-level marketing that for me, I hate seeing my friends and family get taken advantage of. It makes me fucking rage, because as soon as you see somebody else enter this new business opportunity, you know what this is going to be like. You know what all their posts are going to be. You know what their life is going to be like. You know that when they reach out to you, they're probably going to reach out to you because they want you to join a party, or they want you to come to a passion party, or they want you to come to a Mary Kay party, and you want to support them. But at the same time, you realize that what business they're in is a scam. And so you can't support that. And it's just sad, because really you're not like choosing to not support your friend's quote unquote small business. It's not their business. They don't own it. They don't have any stake in it. They bought in, and it's not a small business. And I could go on about this for fucking hours, and I'm so sorry. I don't want to be like a broken record here, but it's really upsetting. And so I haven't made the MLM video, even though I just go into that like tangent, because I want to do it justice. I want to do it well. And I don't feel like the information that I have been able to compile has been well enough. And I did see a TikTok the other day, and maybe you guys can let me know, but I did see a TikTok the other day that was like, you have enough information to get started. Whatever it is that you're putting off because you don't have enough information yet, yes, you do, just do it. And I was like, man, that really kind of kicked me in the ass, wanted me to start, because that is why I am holding off. I feel like I just am not going to do it justice enough, and that people are going to be like, you don't know enough, you didn't research enough. But at the end of the day, you just have to get started. And I have to just not psych myself out about it. So that's why I haven't done the MLM video yet. You got my little shortened version of it right here, but you can tell that I'm pretty passionate about it, because I've seen people get taken advantage of, like talking about that they're in vet appointments for their animals, and their animal is dying of kidney disease. And they're like, you need to be doing cold calls. You need to be sending messages from the waiting room of the veterinary office. Like, get going. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you a human? Are you well? Get fucked, idiot. Like, excuse my language, but don't excuse my language. The beauty community drama in retrospect, Tati, Shane, Jeffrey, all of that. Look, I think the uploading of that initial video sent a cascade of hellfire down onto the beauty community that is, you can't recover from. There have been an unfathomable amount of things that have happened since that I can remember what the beauty community used to look like. And that's really sad. It's just kind of what happens in this space. I feel like every space has a downfall to the point where it's just going to end in a fire, a hellfire. And that's what it feels like to me. The beauty community is no longer what it used to be. And I know that people want to be like, well, it's not. No, I'm just talking about the one that I'm a part of now. The peer group that I had, like they just quite literally do not exist anymore. It's just sad to see where it's gone and what it had to become. I say had to become because I feel like anything that grows larger than itself will eventually be its own demise. I feel like TikTok beauty is getting the same way right now. There's just disingenuousness, that's not a word, but it is now. And with any sort of large rise, I feel like will come a large fall. And that's really sad, but it's just kind of what everyone knew it would happen. They were always just kind of like, when is it gonna happen? Well, it happened, didn't it? It happened. And it is, you know, that whole group, the main groups that caused this, the big players in the industry, you know, it's just no longer what it once was. It's gonna evolve, it's gonna change. I hate that all of it had to happen, but again, you get that much money going, people are bound to have issues. And we're talking money. This industry before, man, back what this thing was back in the mid 2000, like I would say anywhere from like 2016 to 2020, we're talking these people are making money. It's not weird to see what happened with it, because when that much money is involved and that much fame and notoriety, and you know, there's gonna be, and like friendships and downfalls of friendships, like it was bound to happen. It sucks though. I hate that it did happen, and I hate that the beauty community is never what it once was. I don't think it really can be, and I don't think people really care anymore. I think that like the tides have kind of turned. People don't really give a shit about the beauty space anymore. And before, you could upload a video about something and it would just absolutely take off, and people cared about the subculture palette, and people cared about the new BH Cosmetics releases, and now you upload it and it's fucking crickets. And it's not lost on me when that all started. Somebody said, I want to hear your opinion on that new lab-made chicken meat. I feel like I already know your opinion on it. You probably do. Get it away from me. I don't want a damn thing to do with it. You know what? You do you. If you like the idea of it, more power to you, eat it. Stay away from me. And the thing is I think I saw, and maybe I'm wrong about this, so forgive me if I am, but I think I saw that in America, it can be like used in restaurants without disclosure of telling you that you're eating lab-grown meat. Mama's gotta be eating at home then, because you know what? Ew. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't want anything to do with it. The further we stray from nature, further I want to be from it. Thank you very much. I'm super good on it. And you know what? I don't know a lot about it, but I'm just really good on it. I just think some of these comments are so funny. Linen, the fabric, is so ugly and looks bad on everyone. I would have to disagree with you. If you want my opinion on it, I disagree. I absolutely love linen. I think it's very comfortable, and I find it very flattering and beautiful, and I wish more of my clothes were made of linen. I love your passion. Your views on family channels on social media. I think I'm gonna make like an actual full video or even series of videos about this if I can get past my feeling of that I'm like I feel a little nervous about doing commentary videos because I want to, again, I want to get it right. But this is one thing I feel pretty particularly strong on, is not exploiting your children for money and views on the internet. And so I think that's something I want to do separately and like have a big viewpoint on, because that's not an area that I feel like I worry about coming off a certain way. Like, let me come off like I'm judging you. I am. I do want to do like a separate video topic on that, because I think it's gotten out of hand, and I think that a lot of people put their children in a lot of really compromising situations. They don't really worry about who's viewing it, why they're viewing it. It's not my responsibility of who views my content and what their intent is. I put it out there innocently, so it doesn't matter if somebody's doing something negative with it. Like, hello? Are you well? No, you're unwell. There's people that fucking do that. Try to make excuses for the creeps on the internet. Like, for what? Money? You're unwell. unhinged. I have no, I'm sorry. I should be less like this because I actually feel like being the way that I am and being so firm on a topic without having nuance is probably a bad idea, because it doesn't bring people to want to make better choices. It makes people kind of double down on their choices. And I think that that's kind of unfortunate, is that my initial response wants to, like, I want to yell at people and scream in their faces. And that's not really useful or helpful. And I don't do that. I'm actually not that kind of person at all. But when it comes to exploitation of children online and things like that, I'm like pretty firm in my stance around it. And I want to just like shake people who don't take it seriously. But in that same vein, it's not very helpful. And that's not the way that you garner change. I don't think that screaming about things or being mean to people or yelling in their faces is really that useful a tactic to getting people to change their ways. But sometimes the reason I think that I get that way is because you know that the parents already know all of this. They're just choosing to exploit their children for monetary gain. So it's not like you're actually expecting them to change based on new information. You just know they already know the information and are like, you know what? The millions of dollars would disagree with you. And I would say to that, I hope the money's worth your child's safety, you fucking assholes. I chose violence today. Someone said they want to know my opinion on Stanley tumblers cost and the bazillion drops of new colors. My friend has 7 different colors. I mean, is Stanley with the price? Why have every new color? I don't get the hype. I don't get it either. I don't have a Stanley cup. It's a cup. I don't know. I don't care about cups. People are really obsessed with cups. Let people be obsessed about their cups. I don't know. I don't get it. It means nothing to me. A cup is a cup. I drink out of anything that will hold liquid. I'm not one of those people that has like that gets excited about a cup. I have found water bottles and I'm like, wow, I drink way more water out of this bottle than I did out of just a regular cup. But I just buy the one. I don't know. I don't really care though. Like if people are obsessed with Starbucks cups or Stanley cups or whatever, like, hey, you do you. It's a fad and it'll probably die out really soon. And I don't get it, but I also don't get a lot of things people do, you know? I'm just kind of over here like, I'm sure a lot of people out there don't understand the shit that I care about. I don't know. I don't get it. Someone said, true crime videos for entertainment. Okay, now this is a really touchy subject because I would say that I used to fall into the category of people that watch true crime videos for entertainment. It's not that I find it entertaining, it's that I find it so fascinating and horrendous that I felt like I needed to hear about it to like give the victims they needed to be heard. I felt like I needed to hear what these people went through, and I felt such empathy and like just deep compassion for people who had experienced such horrors. And I don't know what it was, but just understanding like the human brain and like what makes people do what they do. Cause like I cannot get into the brain of somebody who does shit like that. Like it's like mind blowing to me. I will say I am not a fan of when people use verbiage of like, ooh, my favorite murderer is. What? You have a favorite murderer? That's not okay. Like, what? I have a hard time with shit like that because these people are psychopaths who caused an immense and unfathomable amount of pain and hideousness for these families, for the people that had to spend their last moments in terror. To like put murderers and like psychopaths up on a pedestal, like absolutely not. That ain't me. I do understand kind of like the fascination with kind of what makes people tick, what could make somebody get to the point where they could cause such devastation and have like no remorse. I think that I'm just kind of interested in the human condition in general, whether that be people, you know, dealing with mental illness, people dealing with sociopathy and psychopathy and things like that, where I think that the fascination with true crime, it can be done in a respectful way, i.e. like a Kendall Ray, where you're learning about the situation and like trying to help the families. And then there can be people out there who like are talking about it in a really disrespectful way, where they're like, oh my God, well, my favorite murderer is this guy because like, oh yeah, like Daddy Ted. Like, we don't need to talk about Ted Bundy like that. Like, he's not somebody to be idolized. He's not somebody that we should be like talking about in like a term of like daddy. Like, no, he's a literal absolute psychopath murderer who deserves none of our respect, admiration. I think that there's a way to consume true crime content that feels respectful, and I think that there's a way not to. And I see both of them, online lately, and you know, to each their own. You have to do what feels right for you, but I think that it's become such a popular topic that a lot of people are talking about things in a way that does feel a little icky, especially knowing that like these were people's actual last moments in this world. And so we need to have some respect for what these people have gone through, and that some of these families are still alive, and that this is not entertaining for them. This is horror. Having to live with the literal horror of what happened to your family member, or like, it's just like, I think we need to have a little more humanity to us. And I think sometimes we forget that these people on the other side like are people that these experiences really happen to, and that it's not content for them. So I get it. I have done it myself at times, like been really fascinated. I will say that the older I get, and since having a kid, it hits different. It hits so different that I used to watch all this stuff, and now I say not interested because it fucks me up. I'm gonna put some gloss on. I'm looking crazy. Not any better. I look insane. Why so many people hate on child-free people. I think there's like this understanding that like in order to achieve happiness or to have like the ideal life, you need to have kids. Now, this is coming from somebody who initially was like trying to have children, went through like significant infertility, ended up getting pregnant after years of infertility, after deciding that I was going to just be a child-free person. So I've kind of gone through the gambit. I do not believe that you need to have children in order to be happy. I think that children bring a different level of happiness that, like, I wouldn't obviously know what it's like to be a mom unless I am one. I wouldn't obviously know what it's like to have children unless I have kids. There are things where I'm like so thankful that I was able to have him, because he is like the absolute light of my life. My life was also happy before having him. It was just a different level. It's a different type of happy. It's like not like you have to have one to have the other. You can't compare. They're two totally different lives. Both were good though. And I wouldn't go back. If you asked me right now, like, would you go back to your previous life? The answer is no. But my previous life was great. So it's not like, I don't think that people need to have kids in order to be happy. But if it's like the dream of your life, know the realistic version of what that's gonna look like for you and what actually having kids actually looks like. Because I feel like people are pretty disingenuous online, because it comes with a lot of feeling, you're made to feel like a real piece of shit if you have anything negative to say about parenthood or motherhood or anything like that. Like, people are like, well, you chose to do this. Well, I didn't know what it was gonna fucking be like before I did it, obviously. You can't know until you know. You quite literally can't. And even though people tell you, you can't know, because it's down to the temperament of your own child, your own capacity for handling things, your own ability to get through difficult situations. If you have a hormone imbalance, if you have postpartum depression or anxiety, like, there's no way to know what your experience is going to be like until you do it. So really, anybody who wants to tell you that you need to have kids in order to be happy, I don't know where they're getting this information from. Like, yes, I am so glad that I did. I love him so much. He has enriched my life in ways that I wouldn't have known. But in the same token, again, you wouldn't have known. So if you don't want to have kids, don't let somebody pressure you into doing it, because they're not the one that has to raise your kid. They don't have to be in your house. They don't have to stay up late with you at night. They don't have to feed your kid 3 meals a day and snacks. And also, if they even eat them, they don't have to be there for the schooling, for the raising, for the tantrums, for the meltdowns, for the happy moments, for the bad moments. They're not there for any of it. So really, when they try to pressure you into something that you don't want to do or don't feel ready to do, it's simply coming from a place of either wanting, like either misery loves company, or they've had such a good experience that they want you to experience it too, or it's just like a societal expectation. Simply, they don't have to fucking be there to raise your kid, so you don't have to listen to them or feel any sort of guilt around it. You may love it so much that you wish you had multiple children. You may struggle so much that you're like, why did I even do this? You don't know until you know. Or I've even had people be like, I don't really want to have kids, but people made me feel bad about it. Should I? No. You shouldn't do anything that you're not 100% certain about, because again, this situation, once you start, there is no turning back, okay? I've said this before, and people don't like it when I say this, but I'm just gonna say it. If you're at a party and you're not having a good time, you can leave. If If you have a job you don't like, you can quit. If you're on a vacation you're not having fun on, you can book a flight home early. If you don't like being a parent, tough titties, you gotta do it again. You're still doing it right now and every day for the rest of your life. So it's not a decision that people should take lightly, especially given your situation. Like, do you have help? Do you have support? Do you have people around you that can give you a break? Do you have the ability to do therapy? Do you have because especially in our modern day society with the way the parenting is, we are not set up to thrive. We are set up to struggle. When they say it takes a village, it absolutely takes a village. And if you don't have a village, it might be difficult for you. It might not. I have friends that have multiple kids and they're kind of thriving, doing really good. I have friends that have one kid and they're like, heaven help me, heaven help me. So I think that it's like, we have to just stop making blanket comments about like what people should and shouldn't do, what people are going to enjoy, what they're not going to enjoy, because you might have a really difficult child. You might have a really easy child. And honestly, people that have really, really easy children love to be like, oh, it's so good. Okay, well, you got a unicorn child. I'm a highly sensitive person. I score really high on that test. If you want to take that test, it's very fascinating. So it's very difficult for me. I get really overstimulated with a lot of screaming, a lot of whining, a lot of difficulty, blah, blah, blah. But you might not have that. So parenting might be a little bit easier for you because you just feel like you can handle things. You have the capacity. Maybe you have a lot of family support. Maybe you have a lot of people that are going to be willing to help. Like I said, in America these days, we do not have the help that we are supposed to have. It's just in Western culture, we are expected to do the job of 20 people, but it's just you, and you need to take on the mental load of it, and you need to do all of it, and you need to do it with a smile on your face, and you need to not talk about how hard it is. And if you do, well, you wanted this anyway. No. Maybe we wanted to be mothers, but we didn't want to be mothers this way. And that's not at all what mothering is like in America. I can just tell you that right now. Get your shit together and shut up and quit whining because you wanted this. Sorry, I didn't want to be isolated and alone in my home with a kid and feel like I have no support or help. So thank you, but no fucking thank you. That's not exactly what I wanted. So anyway, I have a lot to say on this topic. Obviously, if you guys want a separate video on it, I can do that. But anyway, people hate on child-free people because people are hateful fucking losers. And people just like to hate on everybody in general. The world is full of miserable people that like to be miserable to you because they feel miserable themselves. And if you don't want to have kids, don't. And if you do, do. Someone said, we need the spanking/discipline video, Kristi. Okay. I posted on my stories last week or 2 weeks ago. That's why I haven't really been on much because I was so annoyed. About how there was this, oh my God, I don't even want to go into this, but there was this like channel, and from what I understand now, they're like fundamentalists, but this dude was talking about how he whoops his kids. He has 3 kids under the age of 4 or 5 or 3. Young, little babies. They were talking about when they were in a restaurant and the kid was acting up. He took him out to the car and he gives them a whooping, and then he locks them, he puts them in their car seat, straps them in, and shuts the door until they calm down. And I talked about how that is egregious. Man, the replies were heated. People were like, spanking isn't hitting. No. Is a cow beef? Is pig pork? I hate to be like this, and I feel like people are gonna get really shitty with me about it, but a word by any other name is still that word. Spanking is a term that people have coined, I think, in my opinion, because it takes away the severity of the word hitting. That could be called a smack, that could be called a spank, that could be called a hit. They're all the same thing. They're using physical punishment. Boom, smacking. I call it hitting. I call it corporal punishment. I don't think it's okay to hit kids point blank, period. I can understand getting to the point where you're like, are you kidding me with the disobedience? It's not okay to hit kids. It's also not even an effective strategy at parenting. It's lazy parenting, and I'm gonna get shit for this. I got a lot of shit for it when I talked about it on my Instagram stories. I was absolutely flabbergasted and shocked at the amount of people that were like mad at me for saying that spanking is hitting. I can't even believe it, but it just shows me how deeply ingrained into cultures and beliefs and society spanking is accepted, and it's not accepted as hitting. And I know that there are gonna be people watching this video that maybe were spanked or have spanked. And I'm not saying that like you're a shitty person. I get it. I get that there's a big like disconnect in people's minds, but the studies don't lie. And they say that it's bad, and it is bad. Somebody to hit somebody that they love so much, that's so little, so vulnerable, and absolutely defenseless against a giant human, to use physical punishment as a means of teaching what? You behave. Your behavior around me, unless perfectly positive, is unacceptable. And if you do said behavior, I'm gonna hit you until you're good again. And to me, it's like it shows that children are unable to have any sort of feelings other than positive ones around parents. Otherwise, I'm gonna beat your ass. And I don't like it. I don't like it, and I think that it's really sad, and it creates it's just fear-based. Children are afraid of their parents, and it makes me really sad to imagine the love of my life getting hit by somebody he loves so much and just wants to make happy. Yes, kids, like especially toddlers, all the kids that age, they are infuriating sometimes because they are like huge, loud emotions, huge feelings, so many tantrums, so many meltdowns, so many still not okay to hit your kids. I can understand too that a lot of times parents, like somebody will like give a quick swat on a kid's hand or like a tap on a diaper butt, and they're like, you're saying I hit my kids. It's not so black and white like that. Like, I think that this dad's saying that he takes his children out to the car and gives them a whooping, and there are people out there that hit their children. They give their kids the belt, or they make them go pick a switch out of it. Like that is fucked. And I did not know this, but did you guys know that corporal punishment, I'm gonna look this up. You guys are you're gonna be shocked by this. Corporal punishment, sometimes referred to as physical punishment or physical discipline, has been defined as the use of physical force, no matter how light, to cause deliberate bodily pain or discomfort in response to some undesired behavior. In schools in the United States, corporal punishment takes the form of a school teacher or administrator striking a student's buttocks with a wooden paddle, often called spanking or paddling. The practice was held constitutional in 1977 by the Supreme Court, whereas court held that cruel and unusual punishments clause of the 8th Amendment did not apply to disciplinary corporal punishment in public schools. Fuck. In the years since, a number of U.S. states have banned corporal punishment in public schools. The most recent state to outlaw was Colorado in 2023. As of 2023, corporal punishment is still legal in private schools in every U.S. state except New Jersey and Iowa. Legal in public schools in 17 states and practiced in 14 of the states. Are you kidding me? By parents, by authority figures, I don't care who you are. If you lay a hand on my child, so help me God, I will destroy your life. I find it really fascinating that I literally just said on my story, like, man, this guy's really fucked up. And I just felt just so rageful towards him, talking about his children in a way where they're like his property and you best behave and you better do right. And hearing about the way that people think about their children is just quite literally despicable to me. And I understand that people have different lives and backgrounds and everything like that. But that is just one where I can't get on board with it. And people get really mad about it. I feel like people are really set in stone on that based on either how they were raised or how they are raising their children. And you know what? I say in most situations, raise your kids how you want to, as long as it's not causing any harm. And I stick by that. As long as it's not causing harm, and physical punishment for your children is causing harm. So if you guys would be interested in hearing more commentary things from me in a little bit more of a research fashion, let me know. I would love to do things like that. I'm very interested in doing it. I just get really, I just wanna make sure that I'm doing it justice, and I'm not just sitting here like talking, flying by the seat of my pants, you know? I know some of these topics are very controversial, specifically the one about Colleen Ballinger. It's difficult. I don't really want to talk about it, and I want to talk about it, but the problem is that when you talk about one thing, you're inviting everybody to be like, well, why haven't you talked about this? Why haven't you? Like, there are so many things that people want you to talk about that it gets so exhausting to think about having to comment on every situation. It's really an interesting time to be on the internet and to not really know your place anymore. But I would love to do commentary content if you guys think that would be something you would be like to listen to, if you'd be interested in, sort of maybe podcast style, maybe documentary style, maybe a little combination of both. Would love to do that. I don't know how much I feel like I have the room to speak on it, because like literally who am I? But I am like literally who is anybody on the internet? You don't really see people in the commentary space being like, I am a journalist researcher. Like, we're all just interested in these topics and giving our own 2 cents and opinions and kind of bringing things to light. So yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing anything like that, let me know, and give me your topic suggestions down below. We shall see. I will try to read the comments, and I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you at the next one.